All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down and do a Natty or Not for you guys. Let me get the volume cranked up a little bit, and let's get into this. All right, guys. So I had someone bring that up in my breakfast chat this morning. Like, John Cena claims to only be on TRT. Is that possible? So let's basically kind of do a Natty or Not on him. And I put in the thumbnail so that you guys can see pretty much John Cena when he was wrestling full-time more in his prime, and then you see him later on dieted down, shredded, veiny. Okay, let's be realistic about that ladder. What look specifically does Cena have? That's a growth hormone look. That ladder, it's like, so he's claiming TRT, except he's on high doses of growth hormone. That look that he has, that specific type of shrink-wrapped look that he has with that exact type of vascularity is exactly what every single person looks like, an older lifter who goes on a high dose of growth hormone. That's the same look Sylvester Stallone had when he got busted with all that growth hormone. A lot of older guys go that route. Now, when people bring this up, they're like, can guys keep their muscle on TRT who were on gear previously? Because he was on plenty of gear in his prime. Anyone who doesn't understand that doesn't understand lifting. Has nothing to do with the fact that he didn't train hard. Didn't mean he wasn't strong. It's just the reality is the size and ability that he displayed when he was in his prime is indicative of gear use and hard work and good genetics as an athlete. He had all three of those things, and that's normal because your whole NFL is on. Again, this is the way it works. But you look at his overall size, at the body fat and fullness he had then, clearly on plenty of gear. All right, so then you look at him later, and when it comes to the TRT, he very well could only be on TRT in terms of the androgens. But the other thing that people forget, most of the myofibrillar growth that guys get from prolonged gear use, according to the research, and particularly some of the muscle memory in, can be fairly permanent. When we look at the data on it, right? When we look at the data on it, we know that lifters who come off of gear, like power lifters who use gear for at least 3 years, right? What did they find in the studies? They kept 100% of the muscle memory side of the gains, the muscle nuclei cell increase. And so then the potential for myofibrillar growth was higher. Like it stayed. They kept all of it. At least we know at least 3 to 4 years after coming completely off the gear. And what you usually find is that guys who continue to train hard, who previously used gear, who go on true TRT even, they tend to retain their muscle extremely well if they're kept in a higher normal range on testosterone. It's enough to sustain all of the upper threshold muscle fibers, all the fast twitch ones. Okay. All right, just get rid of that nonsense. So they tend to keep it. So when someone says, could someone still stay really jacked if they just go on TRT who is on, significant amounts of gear? Yes, absolutely. I mean, I believe Jay Cutler's probably in that category. Right? So they'll keep an enormous chunk of it. They don't shrink to nothing unless they come off everything, no replacement dose. They don't get their hormones back, and they quit lifting. They quit lifting. That's what causes it. So John Cena's kept training. But when you look at the look that he has, I am sure beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is on growth hormone in those after pictures. Like that one on the right, the way he looks in those pictures, he is on a significant amount of growth hormone, somewhere between 4 and 8 units a day, but he very well could be on TRT. And this is my professional opinion observing. That's what I see. That's what I see. So it's possible he's on TRT, but he's definitely on growth. Right? Now, so he's obviously not natty. Obviously wasn't natty in the day, and I that's my assessment of what I think he's using looking with a train type. But that shrink wrap, that way he keeps that type of veininess with that shape, is usually an older guy, a little older, with some old muscle memory, who's on growth hormone. It's a growth hormone look. Okay, there's a specific look that you get when you run a decent amount of it. So that is my professional opinion. So we got some people in here. Let's get over to some real questions. Buttermilk, can we stay on topic? Sirloin says forearms are looking jacked and veiny. They're doing good. What's warmer? I've got the heater on now, and I did an arm workout today. So we got a good pump, right? We got about bicep is. We had a bicep day. Did all those heavy curls. All right, we did all the dumbbell curls, preacher curls, weighted shins, all those rows. Okay. I was 185, then cut very fast, 165. Now I'm weaker, bench, but leaner, but bench hurts now. Fix your bench. I have coaching slots open. Also, you guys follow me on my Instagram. Here it is. Look, I got coaching slots. I will fix your bench pain. The bench should not hurt. I do rep work. I'm 48. I do rep work with 315 on the bench every single week, 315 or more, every single week. My shoulders don't hurt. You need coaching. So hit me up here on the Facebook. By the way, if you guys don't follow me on Instagram or Facebook, follow me on both of them, whichever one you use. I just linked them. Let's go over some other stuff. Just chilling, trying to stay warm. Double leg shot. Why should I give you a leg shot? You don't ever give me any super chats for buttermilk biscuit. John Cena's damn good. Lifting routine, hope you're staying warm. It was freezing. Like when I did the morning workout, I only left the garage door half open to get some light in. And it was like 34 degrees in my garage. I trained in my shorts and 34 degrees. But I got the heat on. It's 68 inside the house. Right? Any tips for lifting weight heavier because before no pain? Yep. Yeah, hit me up for either a consultation. I did a whole video a couple of weeks ago. If you check in the feed, I did a whole video on how to make the pain go away when you bench press, how to get rid of shoulder pain. I did a tutorial. If that's not working for you, you need to hire me. Speaking of that, guys, I have 3 coaching slots open, and I do the 1-hour consultations for 9 clients. Hit me up on those. I can cover whatever you need, your injuries, your programming, your gear. So whatever you guys need to cover, I'll be happy to cover it. But yeah, your bench press should not hurt. You are benching incorrectly. There's a problem with your technique if your shoulders hurt on the bench. It should be pain-free. Is it unusual I can do very heavy weighted dips without pain, but flat bench hurts my shoulder? Yes, it's unusual. You are not benching correctly. What's your favorite? There is no such thing as a CrossFit movement, buttermilk. What do you mean? Give me something to pick from. CrossFit does everything, throws everything but the kitchen sink into conditioning work. You're asking what happened. Your bench form is incorrect. Like there's something wrong with your bench form. You're not stacked correctly. You're bouncing the bar. Your touch point is incorrect. You're not stacking your wrist. Right? What have we covered? This is where the bar should be, over your wrist bone, never in your palm. Right? Your bench should look like this. If it does not look like this, with the bar directly above your wrist bone, directly above your elbows, that is 100% the reason why your shoulders hurt. And if you don't fix it, it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse every year. Elbows only flare based upon bar path and touch point. If you're stacked correctly, it's kind of hard to flare unless you're touching the upper chest, which you shouldn't be doing. There should be, so again, the flaring should be indicative of what's going on with your bar path. Okay. Do you really suggest lean slow gains? Gains are so slow this way. They're not any slower than bulking. You're just not gaining fat. Have you ever seen it? No. What a weird question. Have you ever seen anyone die in the gym? Like on camera, on Instagram? Yes. In real life? No. Not everyone suggests that. The best experts are not suggesting that at all right now. Look at all the studies you've seen Menno Hanselman put out. Look at what you see me saying. Look at guys like Paul Carter. Paul Carter's telling you technically don't need a surplus at all. Paul's giving you, in his professional opinion, he's saying a surplus is not required at all to gain large amounts of muscle. It's not even necessary. The only time you need a surplus is when you actively want to gain scale weight. And if you have enough body fat to recomp, no reason for that. I don't like the pull program personally. Can I be fat and still have an outline in my ass? No, you can't, buttermilk. No, you cannot. So you guys saw that poll I put up earlier too about sleeves. I think I'm gonna throw my cheater knee sleeves on and start squatting. You guys remember the lifts I was hitting when I put those on with squat shoes? Anybody remember? What's the heaviest top end rep set you guys saw me do with those competition sleeves on? So I tell people sleeves are not wrong. Now you guys have seen me straight up walk in and just squat 500 without sleeves, barefoot and no sleeves. First time I wore the sleeves and started training with them, I tried an all-out set. You guys remember I hit 455 for 10 reps on camera, by the way. So I'm thinking maybe I should straight up low bar and throw my sleeves on, and let's push that squat way up. And the ignorant won't realize it's not wrong because all their heroes do it. Even Strap-on wore knee sleeves, and he tried to claim he's matched me on the squat with his squat that was not locked out correctly. He threw on those sleeves and pretending his 500 squat. It's amazing. It's like, okay, dude. All right. So maybe I should throw my sleeves on and start squatting with them once a week, and then do all my accessory bare knee for the gains. Recently on Instagram, Paul Carter suggested it multiple times. His opinion, you do not require a surplus to maximize muscle growth. He believes it can be done at maintenance if you're dialed in. Cena, well, of course, Cena is strong. John Cena is strong. Like, no, but here's the thing. Being strong is not proof of being natural. Right? Being incredibly strong is not evidence that you were off all gear. We don't count this like, yeah, man, when guys go off steroids, they get weak, right? Or they get stronger. It's like, yeah, man, I came off all the steroids and I can snatch 400 pounds, you know. Okay, dude. You know. No, I'm not going to post it on YouTube here, Buttermilk. You can see the pictures on all my social media. I've linked all of it. Should I rest if I have soreness in that left pec shoulder from bench? It's happening Sunday, not painful, more light. I don't know because I don't know what's going on with your training. DOMS is not an excuse not to train. I still had quad DOMS from those high bar squats on Friday, and I deadlifted yesterday. In fact, I pulled a pretty good deadlift. I did a 555 for a triple. So, no, I don't eat any beans and tofu right now. You know, okay, buttermilk biscuit, you can see the pictures of my food. You know I do lower carbs right now. Right? You already know this. I mean, you're borderline a stalker, so I know you follow my social media. I think Cena used to do a lot of fluff and pump workouts before he restructured training with Mark Bell. Cena always did big barbell movements. Keep in mind his athletic background. Cena was always doing clean and bench press and squats. I can promise you that. Before he was a wrestler, he was doing big barbell moves. Keep in mind, pump work is not fluff and pump. Okay, when I talk about fluff and pump, Aardvark, you do know I'm not talking about individual exercises. It's a training style, which means fluff and pump means you don't do any heavy free weights. If you do a heavy squat once a month, you are no longer doing fluff and pump. Fluff and pump means that your entire workouts are machines and cables for 10 plus reps. Everything, all of it. As soon as you get under a heavy barbell, if you start a workout off with a single set of heavy squats, you are no longer doing the fluff and pump style of training, even if everything else you do is on the cable for 37 reps. Okay, so it's not a lot of fluff. Fluff and pump was a training style. So when people heard me say that, they were mistaking that. And I thought I made it very clear when I used that term. I was talking about an entire style of training. I wasn't saying you shouldn't do some 20 rep isolation work here and there. Sure, pump work at the end of workouts can have tremendous benefits. Yeah, that's not the only thing you can see. You clearly are not looking at any of my social media. Here. Go to my Facebook. You'll see several of my recent meals. You will see several of my recent grocery baskets. You'd be like, man, coach, there's a lot of eggs, Nutopia, whole milk, and avocados in your basket, and cheese. I need to stock up on some more meat. I pulled the last bit out of the freezer. I need to get some more. I think I'm gonna get some chicken thighs with the bone and skin in. I pulled some breast out. I got them in the oven right now, slow cooking. There's a lot of chicken. Everything is beef. I don't want to spend money on beef right now with the cost of it, because the amount of meat that I eat when I eat meat, I'd be spending $1,000 a month on beef if I was eating beef right now. Because it's not uncommon for me to eat 2 pounds of meat in a day. You start calculating that up. You know what I mean? Start talking $20 a day on steak. Yeah. No, I don't eat bacon these days. Let me rephrase that. I had bacon on New Year's Eve. I had some filet mignon that someone grilled that had bacon wrapped around it. Can you read your previous comment? I got lean after I overbulk. I'm like 165. Okay, so slow bulk up. You can slowly gain from there, dude. All right, you're 5'10", 165, fairly lean. Just do a nice slow bulk, gain a pound a month. Okay, if public schools were required to put all students through a required fitness program and you were asked to design it, what would the program look like? They would all squat. They would all do some sort of hip hinge. Right? Definitely would be bench pressing. Ideally, I'd like to get them on some pull-ups. We teach them to not eat refined sugars. Don't add any fats to their food. Like no added fat. So no added oils, no added butter. You know, teach them to eat whole foods. Get people to do some conditioning work. Get these kids to push some sleds around, to do some rucking some weight. Right? Do some plyometrics, some barbell work. That would be the basics. Teach them correct form on some of the big barbell lifts. All right, Joseph, I believe it, dude. If you're buying grass-fed beef all the time, that stuff adds up. Jason, what exercise do you think helped John? I don't know. Lots of them. I mean, strong top to bottom. All his big lifts. Have them do farmers. Yeah, that would work too. Some weighted carries. If kids had to do that, our country would improve greatly. Our country would immediately improve. JD, I don't know what's going on with your injury. Like, I do not have enough information from a random person who's not displaying where they hurt, the long process, the video footage of your benching. Okay, I do not have an answer based upon the live stream. I'd be happy to do a consultation with you, but they are $100, and I'll be happy to go over all of this. But for me to answer that level of question in a live stream would be ill-advised. Have you considered teaching P at a local high school? No, they couldn't afford me. And why would they hire me? That school would be harassed by stalkers and trolls. Jesus Christ. What's a normal weight range to fall in, like 5 to 10 pounds when you're not bulking or cutting? Yeah, I think that's fair to kind of fluctuate over about a 5 to 10 pound window. It's going to be somewhat common. Are you increasing prices? Buttermilks can be based on supply and demand. Because they're stalkers, JD, and I'm not going to entertain all that any further in here. There's no need to go into it. I get rid of all that in the live streams. We don't discuss it anymore. Out. So it's a tiny number of crazy stalkers, and it's not people in general. All right. Why is it very good at single joint movements but not very strong at big lifts? Because you don't practice the big lifts and you don't have intermuscular coordination. You have to actually train the big lifts to be good at them. There's coordination involved beyond just the force production of the individual muscle that does need to be accounted for. Hypertrophy raises the strength ceiling. All right, well, I'll just get rid of you, dude. I don't need all that nonsense. All right. So yeah, if you're going to talk about trolling stuff and you make sure you're lucky to hire me as a coach, you don't get too close to my live streams. Get out. Does TRT alone allow people to surpass the natural lipid home fast food? No. TRT alone, if a person has never used anything but a replacement dose, and they have low testosterone and they go on actual real TRT, they will not get bigger than what their normal natural limit would have been. Does that make sense? Because they still do not have a super physiological amount. The only argument people make is, well, guys on TRT can diet down contest lean without their testosterone crashing, so they might have slightly better muscle retention if they go do a bodybuilding show, because you're not going to cut that lean and walk around that way. People don't normally do that because you can't sustain it. That's the argument made, by the way. It's not that you're going to have 5 or 6 pounds more muscle than you would have had you just had a normal testosterone levels. I don't have an answer to that, buttermilk, and I don't know. You have to go track them down and deal with them yourself. I don't have info. You're free to go do that on your own, but I couldn't encourage it. All right. Yes, I know for a fact NH is an insider inside their circle. So, yeah, he is definitely one of the actual real stalkers, not just a guy making videos. And he has been since day one. All right. Natural hypertrophy with his outrageous French accent talking about chies en blé blé. Shall we imitate him? I'm over here doing my rice bucket challenge to build forearms so that one day my forearms might rival that of chies en blé blé. Right? Here's my thing. If he says he's proud of his forearms and he's doing that rice bucket challenge, right, and they're building his forearms, why doesn't he have forearms? Right? Why doesn't he have forearms? I'm just going to sit here and talk like this for a minute now that I got your attention. Why does this guy want to pretend like he knows more about training than me or anything? Does rice bucket? Hey, maybe you should do what I do for your forearms, bro. Right? Maybe throw away the straps. Quit imitating Cubby, strap-on destiny, your butt buddy. Okay. Do you think that Peter is actually who? Cubby had him on his channel. Peter who? I don't know who that is. I've never heard of her. John Cena said that after 20 years of training, I can beat strong builders on it. He probably can. Outrageous. You don't just drop 40 pounds of muscle in 6 months of your natty. Well, that's true. He said he wasn't on anything before his entire career. Now just here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's definitely. Well, you can't call Cena a loser. Okay, let's be fair. Objectively speaking, if you look at the amount of good John Cena has done in the world, any fake natty stuff that he's up to, and we could call him a fake natty, that's fair. Totally fake natty. Is John Cena a good human being when it all balances out? He actually is. Okay? All right. Keep that in mind. So if you can't call a guy a loser who has genuinely done the good deeds that this man has done. So we need to be clear. We can talk about the fake natty thing objectively, but I want to be clear. We're not trashing on his character. You are aware of what John Cena does for charity work, right? Well, I'm just saying you're calling him a fake natty loser, but you are aware of the good deeds he's done. I don't think anyone in this chat has topped the level of good deeds, like genuinely good deeds he's done. You are aware that John Cena holds the record for the number of like Make-A-Wish Foundation appearances, right? The man has shown up thousands of times to dying children in the hospital to meet them and get pictures of them and do autographs and talk to them and bring them gifts and stuff, like children dying of cancer. He holds like the record for the most of those that have been done by any human being. I'm just saying, whatever other stuff we have with the fake natty, he's a pretty good dude. So I do want to throw that out there, right? I want to throw that out there. So you can't say that about him. The guy is actually, by all standards and the whole balance of everything, because we all do good and bad stuff. We all do good stuff, smart stuff, stupid stuff. But every human being, we all make mistakes. We're all flawed. But when you look at the balance on the scales, that's pretty dang high on the list of, damn, let's just be a really good human being. That's pretty high on the list. Just throwing it out there. NH is not going to go into modeling. Shut up. Is John Jones? I don't know. He's pretty good. The time he spent in TV speaking, I don't apologize. Well, I have no idea. I didn't see that. What are some training tips you wish? I don't have anything to go. I don't like that line of thought. It doesn't work. So just follow my current work, guys, if you want good advice. Is your company? No. Shaq is an admirable guy. Shaq's done a lot of charity stuff too. Yeah. Shaq's a pretty good dude overall. Total gentleman, but he eats trenbolone sandwiches, which is, yeah. So, but that's the point, guys. Like, he is a fake natty, obviously uses gear, but in the grand scheme of things, you compare the good he's done versus lying about his gear use. I mean, when it tops off, the guy is a genuinely good human being who has actually displayed a pretty high level of kindness and compassion. You know, and it's not like he really made money doing it. And if you start, even if he did, you're like, well, maybe it made him more fans. But look at the number of hours as someone who was already rich that he logged doing that. That's a lot of his personal time spent just saying, you know what, I want to cheer up some kids dying of cancer just to feel better. Even if he did it just to feel better, I don't care. Even if he did it to get more famous, I don't care at that point. He's doing good, genuinely kind, decent stuff. Like, it's really hard to hate on the man. It's hard to hate on the man, you know. Genetics obviously plays a role, but Tom Brady takes steroids, keep playing, and yeah, definitely going to be some growth and other stuff to stay in. But then again, everyone in the NFL is on. Matt Winning thinks that chest is not important for bench. Yeah, that's insane. Objectively speaking, the pecs will always be the biggest primary mover. Now, he might be talking about, with his style of power benching, talking about getting the last bit out of it, sure. But you can't remove the pecs as the largest force producer. You can't. What he probably means is you don't need to obsessively train them with a certain technique of benching. You can probably overdevelop those. Now, the overdeveloped triceps, like he talks about, will keep your shoulders healthier longer. That's an important consideration for longevity. Stronger triceps when you start getting into really, really big benches. I'm not talking 300 benches, guys, unless you're a girl. When you start getting into big bench presses, strong triceps are very protective of your shoulders because of the change in the bar path. Okay. So there is that to factor in, but the pecs are still always going to be kind of king for the total force production by at least a small margin. You can't remove that fact biomechanically. Okay, makes sense? But you'll be healthier longer with the big weights, especially in the lats too, because it'll let you lock in a tighter bar path. The best way to build strong pecs is with chest exercises that work the pectorals. I don't know what any of that means, buttermilk. I am drinking water with a small amount of, this is, I believe, sugar-free Kool-Aid. I put 1 packet per gallon, and then I put like 2 grams of potassium into that gallon of water for me to sip on. I drink half of it every day. So, buttermilk, I don't know what you're talking about. I might need to get ready. Now, you're not being malicious, so I'm going to let you stay. What percentage of sets should the average lifter be taking to failure? Depends on the exercise. Small exercises, 1 or 2 a week, maybe 3. You know, depends on the weak point. If you're talking stuff like a tricep press down or an incline curl, you can probably do all of them. You're talking a weighted pull up or a bench, not so many. Not have a problem with aspartame. In the grand scheme of things, aspartame is relatively safe, pretty far down your list of concerns. There are hypothetical concerns that have never been actualized. And even if they were, the perceived risk is pretty far down the risk of stuff. I mean, for example, 1 alcoholic drink per month hands down, undisputed in the research, is definitely more dangerous than if you were to drink 4 liters of Diet Cola every single day. Objectively worse. So by comparison, aspartame, potential hypothetical small risk, but it's pretty small. Again, compared to most of the other stuff people do. I used to do all sets of failure, recently left 1 rep in the tank almost. Yeah, I mean, some stuff can be to failure. I bought into the George Lima style of training, taking every set to failure, pretending my family was on the line, wasn't recovering. Yeah, you run into recovery problems real quick when we do that. Generally, about 1 rep from failure for most of your stuff is pretty ideal, right? It's pretty ideal. So everyone was saying earlier, they're like, Coach, because you're just on TRT, your veins are gone. No, it was just cold. Now that the heat is on and I'm warmed up, I have veins. I already told you guys this was going to happen. As soon as the temperature, and when this cold wave gets done, I'll be veiny every single day. As soon as the heat comes out, man, I'm going to be vascular even over my fat areas. I heard the drink of beer a day is worse than smoking. I don't know if we can quantify that with tobacco. I don't know about our head-to-head comparison. Were you really in a wheelchair when learning to rewalk? Nope. Has a nurse ever had trouble obtaining? Nurses love me, dude. Any sort of healthcare worker, like I've dated like some medics and stuff. They're always like, I love your veins. I can run an IV right in there. They get all excited. It's like, whoa, hold up, bitch. Whoa. Actually, you mean I'm squatting 500 plus right now? I'm about to knock that really high. I'm going to throw my sleeves back on. I'm about to throw them cheater sleeves on and go back low bar. We're going to put some numbers up. You've never seen me in a wheelchair, Biscuit. I can assure you, you have never seen me in a wheelchair on camera, ever. There's never been a single photograph or video of me taken in a wheelchair at any point in my entire life. Okay, done. Have I ever been in a wheelchair? Sure, I've had surgery before and been wheeled out in a wheelchair. I mean, so things like that, but I've never owned a wheelchair. I've never needed one for any reason. Just silly. That was a crazy stalker rumor on the internet, right up there with the KKK thing and all that stuff. Because it was, Anthony, because my stalkers were convinced for a year I was in a wheelchair, like currently in a wheelchair, they made hundreds of videos on it, and some of those videos got 100,000 views. Thank you. That's Vanessa, is my Les Paul. That's her name. Vanessa's a dirty girl, though. She makes nasty sounds when I finger her just right. She's a dirty girl. All right. Are you probably so, is there such a thing as steroid? In theory, I mean, yeah, you could on orals. Maybe you could probably cause a liver issue on orals. You'd have to eat a lot of them, though. I've seen guys at a powerlifting meet. I've seen dudes eat as many as I saw a dude take like 30 anadrols right before a powerlifting meet once. He didn't overdose, though. Definitely, I'm going to take my top 3 videos from revenue. They all just make pennies now. The Rich Piana Death Cycle video made about $2,000. My original Ice Cream Fitness 505 has probably netted over the years, maybe about 3,000+, maybe 4,000 over 12 years or more. I don't play any video games. I haven't played WoW in an extremely long time. Video on my gun channel made like $2,200. That FBI ballistics report video I did, like the handgun ballistics report review. When I read the whole 32-page paper and did a review of it, that made about $2,200 discussing handgun ballistics as far as law enforcement and defensive use. Do you actually literally watch me walk up around on videos and squat and walk towards the camera? Come on. Okay. Are you guys getting this? Must be rich. No, not really. Anyone who thinks $2,000 is a lot of money is, you guys, you don't have a concept of what my monthly bills run. My monthly budget is over $5,000 a month, like just my household budget every month. So including my groceries, electric, car note, everything. Odd question, what style of cuisine? I don't know. I don't even think about stuff like that. I don't have to be child support. Thoughts on SARMs? I think SARMs are stupid. I don't think intelligent people use SARMs. I think they're a scam. They cost more than steroids. They have all the side effects of steroids, and they give less gains than steroids. So let me state that again. Less benefit, the same side effects, but cost more money. It's kind of like Starbucks' slogan should be, it's really expensive, but the lines are long. What is your benefit to taking these things? They're not even approved for human use. The FDA looked at them and says, the risk to reward on them isn't as good as steroids, so we're not going to make them legal. They didn't make it through the FDA's testing. Nandrolone is on there. Testosterone is on there. These products couldn't even make it through the FDA for basic muscle stuff. Okay. So why would you use an inferior drug that costs more if the FDA hasn't even approved for these same purposes? What is your chain of logic? Jason, who's bigger, John Cena or Eric? I have no idea. My mom. Your mom is bigger. I want to see your sexy ass mama. Send me a picture of your mama on social media, bro, because you got my mom in there. Is that your mom in the thing? Let's check it out. Let's investigate. I'm curious. Let's go to the channel. Better not be somebody I know. That's a dude. Why you got a dude listed as your mom? I'm disappointed. Is it better to work out a little a day or hard once or twice a week? Once or twice a week isn't going to be ideal, so you're probably better off splitting it up more. Anything less than 3 days a week is probably not really ideal, to be honest. I always hear less sides. They don't have less side effects. Who told you they have less side effects? They don't have less side effects. And you still got to run a test base with them. You're still pinning tests, right? You're not running them by themselves. Oh, I hope you're not running them by themselves. Please tell me you're not running SARMs without testosterone. You've been a few weeks, huh? You're going to be real unhappy coming up here. All the gear guys are starting to laugh. Everybody listening in who's a steroid guy is like, oh, man. Oh, man. Yes, I'm pinning. Okay, good. When these kids get talked into running a SARM only cycle, it's like, man, that's rough. Dude, those guys are dicks who are telling them to do that too. I mean, you talk about trolling somebody. Yeah, kids, buy my SARMs, man. You can run them all by themselves without injecting tests. It's going to be all fine. And they're just laughing like, oh, this is going to be hilarious. Watch it about 10 weeks when they can't get an erection anymore. Man, dude, that's cruel. No, seriously, the influencers who are pushing SARMs to these younger dudes, dude, that is straight evil, man. That's so trolling so hard. I mean, that's just straight up trolling people. That's kind of like, hey, dude, go put that penny in the light socket. Except that it's going to really suck for a few months while they get everything turned back online and they're having to take Viagra and other stuff. For those of you unaware, SARMs do shut your testosterone down eventually, just like steroids do. That's kind of one of the problems. They have the same side effects. The theory was to reduce it. But keep in mind, if we go off of the same theory of the idea behind SARMs, nandrolone was designed with the same mindset. Okay, the exact same approach that was used of what the goal was for SARMs was the goal of nandrolone, and it's reasonably effective at it. Nandrolone is like the most SARM-like anabolic that's been made. For those who are unaware of that fact. Okay, so just an FYI. That's why you don't lose hair on it. That's why you don't get benign prostate hyperplasia or hypertrophy, all those things, right? It has some other side effects. Those fitness influencers screwing up the younger generation. Kids are thinking they need drugs to get fit. Yeah, it's ridiculous. They don't. And look, I'm all for anybody darting a little test who says, look, man, I want a bump. I did my research. I'm older. But when I say that, I don't mean 20-year-olds. Like, and I tell that to everyone too. Like anyone who's even considering gear, if you're not over 21, it really shouldn't even be on the table unless you're going to make a lot of money. Okay. Like, okay, you needed to get through the combine coming up, like, or for, you're a D1 athlete. Man, you can get through the testing and you want to try to go to the NFL. I get it. I understand a 20-year-old in that case. But a dude who's just trying to gain some muscle, no, your body and endocrine system needs to be fully developed before the option is even on the table. And I say this to clients when I have clients who are in that age bracket. If they're 19 or 20 and they start asking me, like, no, I'm telling you as your coach, do not do it. You're too young. You're still a child. Because for our purposes, for the endocrine system, a 19-year-old boy is still a child in terms of those things. Whether he legally is or not is irrelevant. His endocrine system is not 100% developed. It's not done. So for those purposes, he's suppressing things. I'm not going to, I don't have a minimum age I coach. There's minimum age that I will coach without parental supervision. Like your mom or dad's got to be present for every single part of the conversation. They've got to be present for every video call. And that's 18 is a minimum. I will not coach anyone under 18 without their parents filling out the application, without the parents contacting me, without the parents being a part of the entire thing. That's my only rule for that. Like I want mom and dad to have a mutual messenger login to where they read every communication, and I want mom or dad present for every video call. Just because of that day and age we live in, that is my rule, and they have to fill out the application. And I have done one of those, but I'm friends with the person's mother, and she hired me specifically for a high school athlete. But that was the rule, and I told her that was a rule that we set in place. I wanted her or her husband present for all communications. And actually, they were both present. So all of our video calls, all three of them were in the video call. And he got really good results. And he went on to play college sports later. But I did that for a few months with him. But I already was friends with her. But outside of that, my minimum age is 18. I want you to be legally an adult before I coach you. That's a tiny number of my clients, by the way. Like, clients I have right now who are under the age of 22, I have exactly one. I have one 20-year-old client. I don't have any clients under that right now. You look like Steve Austin today, must be the beard. I'll take it as a compliment, I suppose. So that's kind of how it works, Sirloin. Are most of your clients powerlifters? No, I've never played Call of Duty before. I don't video game at all right now. So I have my Xbox in my bedroom on my TV in there right now. But I use it for streaming stuff because it's my older TV. It's not a smart TV. So the one in my bedroom is where I have it, but I don't have any games on it right now. No, most of my clients have never been powerlifters. I don't think I've ever had more than 6 powerlifters at any one given time. Thoughts on DHEA? I don't rate it or think it's useful. But so if people want the idea of current ages, my current youngest client is 20. And I think my oldest right now is about my age, late 40s. I would say right now, about a third of my clients are over 40. Have you ever had a muscle knot before? Everyone's gotten a muscle knot before. Best sports drink for electrolytes, milk. According to the research. If we go off the studies we have, milk is a superior hydration drink. It is better than electrolyte drinks, technically, if you can handle the lactose, though. Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember how we get rid of different knots. Stretch, heat. I get cramps from training. Dude, my hamstrings and even my quads, some of those harder leg sessions, I get some crazy cramps, man, later in the evening. You got to stretch it out, soak in some hot water. Anthony, yes, objectively it is. Strawberries get a female to give you a massage. That's not a bad idea. Work the area out. Or man, if you're into, I suppose, yeah. I mean, however you swing, I'm not judging anybody. I don't hate. We got a lot of people in here, only a few people commenting. It's a quick reminder for people who don't follow me anywhere. Follow me on my Facebook, y'all. And if you don't follow, go there, follow me, like all my stuff. Same thing on my Instagram. There's my Instagram. Go like my stuff. People keep saying, we didn't know you had an Instagram. Is that a YouTube plaque? Yeah, that's my silver play award. I never saw it. It's been there a long time. It doesn't grow because no one's aware I have it. It's got like 1,800 followers. Well, we're getting a whole lot of info today. Yeah. There we are, because we're getting rid of all the nonsense. So now we can talk about real topics, guys. See how beautiful that is? Once I got rid of all the nonsense, we created some drama, get some views, and we get rid of the stalker stuff. Only allow playful trolls in. Jason, I was watching one of the lives where you were talking about a fasted cardio tightening the skin. Does being lean really matter? It's a bit of loose skin by abs, arms getting vascular. The losing fat will help. But yeah, fasted cardio did seem to help in mine some. No, you don't need to see. I've shown a picture of it up close before. It has my old channel name, so it's like before I did the name change. They let me do one name change since I got the check mark, but they told me that's it. You have to re-verify after that. Coach, should I run or weight train to lose weight the fastest? You should possibly do, but I don't think you should necessarily run. Weight training plus cardio is a good combination. Why are you trying to lose weight? Didn't you talk about you couldn't afford food a while back? I specifically remember saying you couldn't afford to eat enough to gain muscle. Now you're wanting to ask what sort of exercise to lose weight. What happened? Did you get a bunch of money? Are you eating more food now? What happened? No, Steve, the fasting can help a little. Mine still isn't super tight. The funny thing is people notice it more on the internet. Like, that's the funny thing. Like, women who know me will look at it and like, no, that's not bad at all. I didn't even notice. And check it out. They're like, I've had one say she wouldn't have even noticed had I not said anything when we were talking about it. Like, the internet makes you so conscious of certain things. Coach, should I run or weight train to lose weight the fastest? He might have won the lottery there. Yeah, I already read that one out. You better focus on recomp instead of shrinking the numbers on the scale, generally most of the time, unless you just have a lot of fat. I'm just going to, I think, recomp from here and stay pretty close to this weight. Are you sure VG isn't Natty? Yes. I don't understand why you think I won the lottery. Because you couldn't afford food. If I remember right, you were saying you couldn't afford food. You couldn't afford coaching either, right? You said, I just don't have that sort of money. Rodney says, do you need to afford food to lose weight? Yeah, I mean, if you can't afford food, why are you trying to lose weight? Dude, that should handle it right there. Why do you need extra activity? If you can't afford food, you'll lose weight by default. Still calories in, calories out. Rodney says he apologizes for missing the last live. Coach, I was conversing with a female. All right, that's cool, man. I'm not trying to cock block a brother. You know, brother needs to get some stinky on his hang down. Is Sam Sulek actually strong? What's his bench and squat? I've seen him squat 6 plates for reps. And I don't mean total, I mean per side. So I've seen him squat 85 for reps. I'm going to say he's pretty strong. I have no idea what he flat benches. I think we've all seen him incline 365, haven't we? For at least a couple reps. I don't know if he flat benches, but I'm going to say we start getting past the 3-plate incline. You're a strong presser, dude. C-Bone, technically more aesthetic, but neither one of them have classic aesthetics. They both have the freakish, more modern bodybuilder look. But technically C-Bone, yeah. I was going to get your coaching, but I bought Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Yeah, see, Limitless, this is not what Coach wants to hear. That doesn't cost as much as my coaching. You're not paying $200 a month for a video game. Yeah, C-Bum's definitely got better genetics for it. C-Bum would be aesthetic if he didn't use as many drugs. Like if C-Bum had only done a little test in Primo and not all the modern drugs with his genetics and trained the way he trained, he would probably be like, you know, golden era aesthetics. But modern guys are not aesthetic. Even classic physique is just basically modern bodybuilding without insulin. Maybe less insulin. Yeah, they all look like freaks. And that's the point. Even the classic physique now doesn't look good. I mean, go back and look at the golden era guys. Look at Arnold. Look at Franco Como. I mean, look at Frank Zane. Look at that whole lineup from any of those years. Take any year of the 70s up to about 1980, 82, right? Look at the whole lineup of the Olympia. And look at how every single dude there looked versus even the modern classic. Night and day. Even you can go a hair before that, right? You go the generation right before that. Look at guys like Reg Park. Look at Bill Pearl. So look at how those guys look and compare it to even the modern classic or the modern physique competitors. Those guys looked better. They simply had more aesthetic physiques. Aesthetic meaning the classic meaning of Greek aesthetics or certain beautiful or golden mean of proportions. They had better physiques. Mike also probably doesn't use insulin. Mike has closer to that golden era look, doesn't he? Does Mike O'Hearn look like a modern bodybuilder? Or does Mike O'Hearn look like a 1980 bodybuilder? Mike O'Hearn does not compete in bodybuilding. He would lose. Okay. Sibo claimed he stacks. That's probably what he does now that he's retired. Sibo said at one time that his off season was 500 tests. He admitted that. So that's his off season. That means he goes hard when he's not cruising. Okay, keep in mind, when guys are telling you their off season, their cruise is 500, he's in the grams when he's blessed. Grams. You know, but yeah, so let's come over and let's discuss. Mike O'Hearn has a more classic physique. He looks like a 70s or early 80s bodybuilder champion. He looks like the guys who were winning. Mike O'Hearn has an aesthetic physique, therefore he could not go pro in modern bodybuilding. He looks good. You're not allowed to look good. It's against the rules. You have to be hideous, even in the classic. It's a requirement. You have to look hideous to place. If you don't look disgusting, you place last. Well, Sebum has enormous amounts of stuff in his belts. He gets too lean. You can't look good when you're that shredded. I will not step on the stage limitless because they want you to be unhealthy lean. I'm not willing to do that to my body. One, I don't think I could mentally handle it, number one. It's not for everybody. Number two, I don't physically want to put my body through that. Number three, it looks gross. Right? Can I do a favorite flex? I don't have a favorite flex. What does insulin do to make such a difference? Insulin, okay. So sirloin, while we've got a few minutes left, do you want me to explain why the insulin is so effective? Insulin is what made Dorian Yates. That was what made Dorian Yates show up like that. Okay, so what ends up happening, the androgen receptor has a limit. In other words, you can add more and more and more and more and more testosterone, and it's going to give you less and less gains. Every gram you add is going to add less and less and less. So what happens once you start hitting 2 grams or so? The diminished returns are enormous. Now, people say that your receptors will upregulate over time, but you start getting 2 grams, 3 grams, 4 grams, 5. So 5 grams of testosterone versus 2 is probably only going to be about 3% more muscle growth. I know you're like, what? Yeah, it's going to be like an extra ½ pound a year. So over 2 grams. So here's what ends up happening. The androgen receptor gets maximized in terms of its ability to put muscle on you. Now, growth hormone can create a synergy there. So what ends up happening with the growth hormone can re-signal a little bit better androgen sensitivity so that it makes the steroids hit a hair harder. So you might be able to push a little more and get a little more out of it. Also, the potential for some hyperplasia if you run it at least a year. Seems to take a minimum of a year. Any study less than a year, growth hormone causes 0 muscle growth, even at really high doses. But what it does, it blunts the fat burning and increases that androgen signal, or it blunts fat gain. So what ends up happening, guys can eat a lot more, okay, so that they can get more out of the drugs. When we talk about bulking on natural, doesn't do as much, but when you're on 5 grams of testosterone, it makes a difference, extra calories. The growth hormone stops you from gaining body fat. So the guys who are running really heavy doses of growth hormone, they're getting that potential hyperplasia, better androgen signaling. They don't gain body fat on their bulks. That's a big advantage. The problem is it starts reaching a point to where it creates insulin resistance while you're on it. So therefore, it's harder to shuttle nutrients into the muscles. So you start getting to a point to where any anabolic benefit gets offset by the insulin resistance. But it is keeping you from gaining fat. That's an important point. It is blunting fat gain on your bulk. All right, so here's what happens. The insulin resistance goes up. So here's where we're about to go, sirloin. You ready? If you could find a way to force something through the insulin resistance, like more voltage, wouldn't that fix the problem? Guess what? Insulin will do it. You can just pump insulin. When the guys add a bunch of insulin to give push behind all that glucose and amino acids, when the growth hormone is burning off all of this fat, stopping all the fat gain, but it's then blunting any extra muscle growth, when they start pushing high doses of insulin, it pushes through that insulin resistance because you're resistant. It doesn't go, it's not the insulin can't do it, it's harder for it to do it. But you can triple the insulin. Now think about what just happened. The effect is enormous. So if you take guys who stopped growing on 2 or 3 grams of steroids, they're not getting much bigger, and they add the insulin, it's like 20 pounds of muscle. Blam! Like in a year. Extra. Now, is this dangerous? You've used a ton of drugs at extremely high doses that are anabolic and created insulin resistance, and then you take a bunch of insulin to force the the nutrients back through the growth hormone induced insulin resistance. The growth hormone is still stopping you from gaining fat, by the way. So you're like, how are these guys pushing 300 units of insulin and not getting fat on 7,000 calories? Because of the growth hormone. Oh, muscle, baby. That's why a lot of these guys, they don't have to cut that hard. They're boofy. They're not fat. They're boofy. They're not fat. Okay. The end result, that's why Dorian got big. He was the first guy to really push the insulin hard on top of the growth. Because he admitted he used 8 units of growth. So Dorian was generally, his publicly admitted off season was like 2.2 grams a week with 8 units of growth hormone every day. He said that in an interview before YouTube existed. YouTube didn't exist yet. That was in Muscular Development magazine in an interview that I read before YouTube existed. What health problems does all of it lead to? Well, look how many of them are dropping dead. Look how many of them have all sorts of health problems. You know, do you think doing 300 units of insulin a day is healthy? Right? Your grandma's taking 50, they're taking 6 times that amount, and she's diabetic. You know, you see what I'm saying? So, yeah, the insulin is what makes the mass monsters. It's not steroids. Arnold used huge doses of steroids. Was he a mass monster? Not by our standards today, no. How about Mike Menzer? Mike Menzer routinely admitted to 2 grams of steroids. Menzer was known for running up to 2 grams of nandrolone a week. That was always the rumor circulated by people who knew him. That's a lot of gear, dude. Look at their size. Then look at Dorian Yates. Dorian admitted around 2.2 to 2.4 grams for his biggest stacks. Not really higher, but compare him to Menzer. That growth hormone then forcing the insulin through behind it. Well, they looked way better. Insulin ruined bodybuilding. IGF-1 on top of it, I think. So IGF-1 as well. IGF-1 can do a similar thing. So some guys choose to go that route. That's a whole different beast. We're dealing with a completely different animal there. But that can work too. Some guys skip the growth hormone and go straight to IGF-1. So guys who are on a tight budget who wanted to get super, super big, it was just as much test as they could force down because it was cheap, and then IGF-1 and insulin. That was the budget IFBB Pro size stack back in the day. Hey, Jason, I got my 76-year-old grandmother to deadlift in a single plate deadlift. Do you think I need to cut her off there? I mean, if she can safely go up, but just proceed with caution. I will say that's freaking awesome, by the way. Steve, let me read what you just wrote. I just got my 76-year-old grandma to deadlift a single plate. Grandma's deadlifting 135. This man got his 76-year-old grandma deadlifted a full plate. Bro. I'll give you a fist bump through the screen right there. That's legit. I've had lots of clients with long forearms. Justin has long forearms. Short upper arm just struggles to get straight wrists in a squat to prevent. It's always, you got to find your grip spacing variable. You got to find that perfect grip. If grandma can do it, none of us have an excuse. That's what I'm saying, dude. Dude says he's got his 76-year-old grandma deadlifting a full plate. Yeah, you may need a wider grip variable. You're going to have to find your sweet spot. But Steve, nothing but respect, bro. Right? Now, how good of a story is that to end the live stream on? Man got his 76-year-old grandma deadlifting a full plate. I can't think of a more positive note to end this stream on, guys. So I hope it's been informative. I love all of you guys and gals. I'll talk to you next time. Let me give you a Mount Bicephalus. Oh, Mount Bicephalus. And we're out.